Right, welcome back to the Genco Archer. If you remember in the last one, I was messing about with the transformer, and my long-term plan is to put it over to a switch power supply. But I realised for testing purposes, at least, I'm actually better off using the transformer and a rectifier, because in power supply terms, it's a transformer and a rectifier is a big butch thing, isn't it? It really doesn't care too much it's very tolerant, whereas a switch power supply is certainly not, because it's using switching transformers and all of that. So what I've done, throws up hands in horror, that sitting on the top, and it is insulated from the transformer, by the way, although it doesn't look it, but it is. That's a makeshift bridge rectifier. I had 4 suitable diodes that would do it, and that will provide me the DC for the board. And then when I've got, when I'm pretty sure everything's working, and I can work out all the polarity of all the solenoids, I can then start fitting diodes to the back of them. And the reason for that is, as was pointed out by a friend of mine, when these coils are energized by the voltage, because what happens is it does that, is it pulls these things down. When it lets go, it throws back almost twice as much voltage back to the power supply. Now, if I do that with a switch power supply, it's going to damage it in no time. So we're running off the original transformer, which still works, a modified bridge rectifier, because I've got one coming in a couple of days, and then I can fit that on the board and tidy the whole thing up. But for testing purposes, I think this will suffice. Yeah, I've got a couple that don't work, but it is powered up. That one works, that one does, that one does, that one doesn't. I have to check the wires on that one. That one's alright, that one's alright, and that one doesn't work. So, it's just maybe a poor contact on that one. Yeah, so we got it powered up. I haven't got the bulbs connected yet. I don't want to tempt Providence, you know what I mean? But I have got power to it, and it'd be interesting to see what kicks the actual ball out. Let's see if I've got a ball handy. Oh, this is there. Yeah, there's all kinds of... This is half the battle, isn't it, really, working on all the contacts. But it looks like we are making progress. Oh, by the way, I just managed to polish that up. Well, at least start to. It had steel screws in it. I'm going to change those for brass. I think it would probably be a better bet. I think had I not rescued this, it would probably ended up in landfill, or it would have sat in someone else's garage for heaven knows amount of years, saying, oh, well, when I get around to it. And of course, in the meantime, it deteriorates further. And when you've got something that's 85 years old, and it is a fair project, not unfixable, it's all doable, isn't it? You know, it's got to be done, hasn't it? It really has. I'm very fortunate that the playfield is in such amazing condition. All I did was clean it with wet wipes, didn't use anything abrasive on it at all. I'm thinking some of these pins at some point, it's not crucial to getting this game up and running, but it'd be nice to have some new shiny pins in there. But I've not found those yet. Well, I found some 1 inch long ones, but I think they need to be a little longer than 1 inch, probably 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches, round headed dome-headed rather, nails, just to tidy it up. And of course they're a hang-on from bagatelle, aren't they? But they help, you know, guide the ball where it should be. And here's this intriguing bit about why there are apparently flippers there. Well, they're not flippers. They are just purely guides, because if you didn't have... I'm just going to move this out of the way. If you didn't have that guide there, the ball would get stuck behind that, you see. That's why they put those in. But on quite a few of the archers that Lee and I looked at, it had a sort of piece of spring steel here, so the ball would hit it, it would bounce off. Well, of course, it doesn't, but it probably would if it had the rubber on it. But this is the only archer I've seen with these, but they're made out of exactly the same plastic as these. So as far as I'm concerned, this must have been a modification that was done by Genco themselves at some point. And well, it'll forever remain a mystery. You know, when you've got a table, there she goes. When you've got a table that's as old as this, you know, it's all guesswork, isn't it? You don't know what's happened to it in his lifetime. But those would appear to have been fitted by Genco for whatever reason. As to why, I don't know, but there you go. But that's why I'm talking about, you know, the difficulty in finding spares and being resourceful and imaginative and trying not to take too much away from what is original. Obviously you can tidy things up, but I agree with Lee Buck that you can't make the whole thing look brand new. That's just ridiculous. I mean, for instance, you know, there's some marks in here, and I could have kept sanding that until they'd disappeared, but I just think, no, it's battle scars. It's all part of its, you know, it's all part of its life, isn't it? It's 85 years old, and it should look 85 years old. Clean and workable, but, you know, a piece of history. But what I was going to say was about the balls that I'm using. These are stainless steel rather than chrome. I think they were slightly more. Bought them all from China. I forget the dimensions of them, but I thought, well, they're not going to rust, are they? So I'm going to tinker them out this afternoon. Thanks for watching, and tune into the next Rails House, and we'll see what progress we've made. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.